What's going on? In today's video, I want to take you through the top 5 supplements that every basketball player would benefit from taking. Now, as you know, or hopefully as you know, supplements are not necessary to achieve top level athletic performance. You can make a lot of progress and really get where you need to be without them. So I don't want this video to seem like you need these supplements, and don't feel bad if you can't get them, you can't access them. That's totally fine. You're not gonna miss out on a ton of progress. But with that being said, there are a handful of supplements that most every basketball player would benefit from taking. And once you have that foundation in place of making sure your calories are on point, your macros, your micronutrients, all that stuff, proper supplementation can get you that extra edge. So if you're competing with someone at the highest level, y'all have everything dialed in, supplementation could be the difference. Again, it's not usually gonna make or break anything unless there's this major nutrient deficiency, but if there is, you'd probably already know that because you went to the doctor. But if everything's fine, you can still get some benefit out of supplementation if you do it correctly, take supplements that actually work, not things that just don't do anything. So what I wanna do in this video is give you an idea of 5 supplements that usually will benefit any basketball player that takes them. The first one is something I wouldn't even really consider a supplement. It's more of a food source, but it's protein powder. And typically a lot of basketball players will struggle to get their protein in, especially when they're first getting started with their nutrition. So one thing I like to recommend is taking some sort of protein powder on a regular basis. And protein powder itself, as long as you get a good quality source, I have a video on that on the channel, by the way, but as long as you get a good quality source, you're fine. It's not gonna hurt you in any way. It can only really help you. The main thing is you want to get most of your protein from whole foods, but assuming you are getting the majority of your protein from whole food sources like meat, chicken, fish, dairy, things like that, assuming that's the case, but you're still struggling to get to where you need to be, so you're at like 160 grams, you need to be at 200 grams or something like that, taking protein powder can be a great way to get you over that hump and make sure you are meeting your protein needs on a regular basis. And just from a logistical perspective, it makes it a lot easier to get it in throughout the day. So if you're super busy, you have a practice or a weight room session, you gotta go straight to class or straight to work, you might not have time to make a full meal, and you might not be able to bring a full meal with you because there's no fridge or something at the gym. So one thing you could do to get around that is make a protein shake. And it's just super easy, super convenient, and it can help you hit that protein target for the day. Again, when you're choosing a protein supplement, you really want to make sure it's NSF certified for sport or Informed Choice certified for sport. That way you make sure what you think you're getting, you're actually getting, and there's no banned substances, there's nothing fishy going on in that protein supplement, and you'd be surprised how often that can happen. So be careful with that, make sure you're getting a third-party tested source of protein. But as long as you're doing everything right, you're doing your due diligence, your research on how to pick the right supplement, you'll be good there. And again, I have a video on that on the channel to help you do just that. The second supplement that I would recommend most basketball players take would be creatine, because there's really no negative effect of taking it, and there's potentially some benefit there, a lot of benefit there, especially if you are a plant-based eater. I talked about this in the video I did about a vegan diet, how to optimize it. But a lot of times, even non-plant-based eaters, animal-based eaters, or whatever you call them, are still low on creatine. Your muscles aren't fully saturated with creatine. And when you get your muscles to be fully saturated with creatine, fully filled up with creatine, you are going to be able to increase your power output, your energy levels, the rate at which energy replenishes during your training. So for example, the example I like to use is you do a really hard set, creatine is going to help you restore that energy, get back to baseline so you can perform another hard set quicker than if you weren't taking it or your muscles weren't saturated with it. So in most cases, basketball players and any athlete or anyone really would benefit from taking it. There are some non-responders, but there really is going to be no negative effect. Again, as long as you're taking a quality source with creatine, I would go with creatine monohydrate. And I have a video on the channel taking you a lot more in depth into what it actually does, how to pick the right source, errors to avoid there. And it's one of the most viewed videos on the channel. So now the third supplement I would recommend or supplement would be caffeine. Typically you're not going to be taking caffeine in supplementation form, like pill form. Some people do, some people prefer to take it that way, that's fine. But most of the time you're going to be getting your caffeine from things like coffee, maybe energy drinks here and there. And caffeine is one of the most potent performance enhancers out there. It's an ergogenic aid. It helps you improve your athletic performance, improve your acute awareness when you're on the court during your workouts, and even off the court. Like for example, recording this video, I have my coffee right here. So it is a performance enhancer. It's one of the few things that is like really proven to be a performance enhancer. So most athletes will benefit from taking it. Now, if you're a younger athlete or a teenager or someone in that age group, I probably wouldn't recommend going crazy with caffeine. And you see a lot of teenagers drinking a lot more caffeine, which isn't the best thing in the world. So just be aware of that. But if you're already done growing, you're in your 20s, whatever, like caffeine is one of the most potent performance enhancers out there. The thing is, you don't want to get to a point where you depend on caffeine. And that's a really dark rabbit hole a lot of people go down, myself included. But you don't really want to get to a point where you need caffeine to perform well. Caffeine should be exactly what it's meant to be, a performance enhancer. And typically the dose that's recommended for acute performance enhancement is 3 to 6 milligrams per kilogram of body weight. So for example, if you're 220 pounds, you're about 100 kilograms. If you're 100 kilograms, you're looking at about 300 to 600 milligrams of caffeine. That's a lot for the average person. So just be aware of that. And obviously it's going to scale up and down with your weight. So you should be good there, but still just be aware of how you respond with caffeine. I would recommend starting low and working your way up because individuals have very different caffeine responses. And a lot of it is actually genetic. So two people the exact same size might respond to caffeine completely differently. So you want to vary your dose depending on how you respond. So I would start low and titrate that dose up until you kind of find that sweet spot, because even though it's a quote unquote performance enhancer, if you take too much caffeine and you're jittery, anxious, and shaky during your basketball workout, or even worse during your game, that's not really going to help your performance. It's not really a performance enhancer at that point. So be aware of that, start low, work your way up, and you'll be good to go. And then before we get into the next two supplements we're going to talk about, if you're enjoying this video so far, you're getting value out of it, I'd really appreciate it if you drop a like on this video and subscribe, and also turn on notifications so that we get notified when my videos go live, because apparently subscribers don't actually get notified. So it's kind of random whether or not you see my video if you're subscribed. So if you want to see this, you find it helpful, hit that notification bell. Now, the next supplement we're going to talk about is omega-3s, or specifically fish oil. And omega-3 fatty acids are a type of fatty acid. They're called a polyunsaturated fatty acid. That means there's multiple double bonds in their carbon chain. You don't really need to know that, but just in case you want to know, there's that science fact for you. But fish oil is going to be very helpful, or omega-3s are going to be very helpful for managing inflammation, brain health, heart health, even muscle growth. So it's something we definitely want to take into consideration. And a lot of times in today's society, people suck at getting their omega-3s in, because where are you going to find omega-3s? Typically fatty fish like salmon, sardines, and some people just don't eat a lot of that. So supplementation could be something to consider. And also, like I talked about in my plant-based diet video, a lot of vegans struggle to get their omega-3s in because you're cutting out those omega-3 sources, and plant-based omega-3 sources like chia seeds and flax seeds tend to be less bioavailable. That omega-3 in those plant-based sources is less bioavailable than omega-3s found in fatty fish, in animal-based sources. So supplementation could likely be helpful. You don't want to go crazy with it either, because obviously too much of anything is not going to be a good thing. So with supplementation, I would stick with around 2 grams per day. That's usually the recommended dose there. Going way above that really isn't going to help you much and could potentially lead to some negative effects. So I'd be careful there. But that 2 gram per day dose should be totally fine. And if you are plant-based, there are some plant-based omega-3 supplements that are algae-based that could help you out if you're just not willing to even take fish oil. So that's totally fine. Now, the fifth supplement I'm gonna recommend is more of a bonus supplement to an extent, because it's not gonna be make or break, but assuming that you have your foundation in place, your macros are in place, your calories, all the stuff we talked about before, this can help you get that extra edge on your competition, especially in a sport like basketball, which is often in that sort of medium intensity, kind of floating between high and low intensity sort of range. And that's BetaAlanine. BetaAlanine is a supplement that's typically going to help you perform better in those medium duration, pretty high intensity bouts of exercise. So as a basketball player, it can be very helpful. Beta-alanine is an amino acid that is actually a precursor to a molecule called carnosine, which serves as a buffer that helps to deal with those hydrogen ions that are created during high intensity exercise, which leads to the burn in your muscles, and you got to stop. So it can help prolong the period of time until you experience that level of burning or acidosis in your muscles that causes you to stop and get fatigued. Now, with beta-alanine supplementation, you do need to consider that one of the side effects of that is this sort of tingly feeling in your fingers, and it's not a negative effect. There's no negative, nothing bad is happening when that happens, but as a basketball player, you don't really want your fingers to be tingling, your hands to be tingling when you're on the court trying to shoot a basketball or dribble a basketball or stuff like that. What you can do to avoid that is split up the dose throughout the day. So typically the dose of beta-alanine on a daily basis is somewhere between 2 to 5 grams per day. To avoid that tingly feeling, or what's called paresthesia, I think that's how you pronounce it. I could have just butchered that, but I'll put the word up on the screen right now, just in case I butchered the pronunciation. But to avoid that side effect, you can split that dose up into doses of about 0.8 to 1 gram several times throughout the day to meet that daily dose that you're going for. And again, just like all the other supplements that we've talked about, you want to make sure you're getting a high quality source. And usually you're going to find beta-alanine in things like pre-workout. So if you're already taking a pre-workout supplement, you might find this in there. But if you want to take it just separately, you can find beta-alanine supplements out there. And again, you want to make sure they're NSF certified for sport. Everything's clean there, no banned substances, nothing fishy going on. You really want to make sure you prioritize supplement safety. So my question for you today, I want you to comment down below, is what's your current supplement stack? What supplements are you taking? Are you taking beta-alanine, creatine, fish oil, protein powder? Like, what's going on with your supplement stack? Let me know in the comments down below. And when you're done watching this video, go ahead and click on this playlist that pops up on the screen right now. I always forget what side it pops up on, but it is a fat loss playlist. If you're trying to get lean for basketball so you can jump higher, be faster, more agile, you want to do this the right way, check out this playlist. It's going to help you avoid the common mistakes hoopers make when trying to get lean. So hopefully you find it helpful. And again, drop a like on this video if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in that next video.